All right. Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk specifically about how to set your goals so that you're setting yourself up for long-term progress and also long-term success. So, we have so many goals set for ourselves throughout our lifetimes, but there are times when we have these goals set for ourselves, but we don't ever, you know, end up truly accomplishing them to the best of our ability. And one of the reasons that is because we don't have a strategy set in place and a, very specific why for why we're even having these goals set in place in the first place. Okay. So today I want to get into the nitty-gritty about how to set your goals up so that you're also setting yourself up for long-term success. So let's go ahead and get into it today. First thing, both short-term and long-term goals are absolutely vital for your success in any area of your life. We're not just talking about fitness. We're not just talking about weight loss, nutrition goals, body goals, whatever. We're talking about every single important goal that you have set in your life. So you can have a long-term goal, which is fantastic. But let's think about, say, New Year's resolutions, for example. A New Year's resolution is essentially a long-term goal. That's just what it is. But the reason why so many New Year's resolutions as long-term goals are not accomplished is because you are setting this wonderful goal, okay? I'm not here saying that you shouldn't be setting these wonderful resolutions and long-term goals for yourself, but what's happening is you're setting these long-term goals, but you don't really have a strategy on how to get there, and you're not setting short, incremental, achievable goals before you get to the long-term goal. And that is just, that's one of the main reasons why so many people have these grand goals for themselves, but they can never truly get to the finish line because they're not setting and crushing these short-term goals before they meet the big long-term goal that they're essentially trying to achieve. So what's the difference between a short-term and a long-term goal? So quickly, a long-term goal, it is a goal that you want to have accomplished in the future. For example, if you're in this program, you probably want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, right? Now, a long-term goal can be, it can be really, if we're being real, it can be 3 months or beyond. For the purposes of this program, the long-term goal in this program is going to be 3 months, but that doesn't mean you need to stop at 3 months. You can set a goal for yourself 6 months that you want to accomplish 6 months from now. That's also a long-term goal. You can set a goal that you want to accomplish 12 months from now, and that's just as great of a long-term goal. But I would say that the minimum amount of time for a long-term goal would be about 3 months. All right. And then your short-term goal, it's going to be a smaller goal that is going to ultimately help you achieve this bigger goal, right? So for example, exercising 3 times a week, adding vegetables and lean protein to every meal, and also improving your sleep schedule, etc. So the short-term goal should always have the long-term goal in mind. All of these things, exercising during the week, adding vegetables and more lean protein, improving sleep schedule, whatever, all of these goals are relevant to this goal, this longer term goal up here, losing 20 pounds in 3 months. If you don't have these short-term goals set for yourself and all you think about is losing 20 pounds in 3 months, how in the world do you think you're going to get to your 20-pound loss in 3 months? You're just going to be scrambling for information. You're going to be scrambling for motivation, right? But if you have these short-term goals, you're able to set them for yourselves, accomplish those short-term goals. And as you are accomplishing each of these incremental goals, you are becoming that much closer to achieving the ultimate goal that you're trying to achieve, okay? Very important to remember. So this is what leads me to talking about SMART goals. I know a lot of you ladies probably have heard of this concept. It is a very well-studied concept. It is used for so many things. It is used for, in wanting to improve your fitness, lose the weight, wanting to, let's say, run a marathon, you want to get a new job, you want to be promoted within your current job, you want to achieve your college degree, anything, any sort of goal can have this concept applied, okay? So when we talk about SMART goals, we're talking about number one, they need to be specific. So in other words, they need to be clearly defined. And we're also referring to this goal as being measurable. So it needs to be something that can be quantified, okay? Such as inches and pounds, or you can also quantify it by how you feel in your clothes. And the way that you would quantify it is by rating this goal from a 1 to a 10. So if you want to have a goal that's want to lose 3 inches, that is very measurable. Or if you want to be able to rate your energy levels and how you feel in your clothes, you want to get to a 10, you can absolutely do that. I think the rating scale is it's a bit less quantifiable compared to losing specific inches or specific pounds. But if you have the desire to rate your energy levels and how you feel in your clothes rather than focusing on, a specific inches lost or pounds on the scale, you can absolutely do this. It just might take a little bit more practice, but regardless, it is still a measurable goal, okay? And this goal also needs to be attainable. So you have to ask yourself, is this something that can be achieved? So for the purposes of this program that you're in, you absolutely can lose 20 pounds or more in 3 months, depending on, the progress that you're making throughout the program. But if you were to come to me at the beginning of this program and you would have said, Lauren, I want to lose 100 pounds in 3 to 4 months, that is not attainable. Okay. I'm sure, short of doing having some sort of surgery done, anything like that, losing that amount of weight in such a short period of time does not fall under this SMART goal concept. It absolutely needs to make sense. And sometimes it takes an expert or a health professional to try to, or to help you get to a point where your goal is attainable. Because again, a lot of the times we set all of these lavish, wonderful goals for ourselves, but we're not necessarily knowledgeable enough to understand why or why not that goal would be able to be attained within the specific time frame that you're trying to attain it. So this is also, something else you want to keep in mind when setting these SMART goals for yourself. And then you want to ask yourself, is this goal relevant? Ask yourself why you are setting this goal, okay? And for a lot of women, when they first begin this program, they are setting weight loss and fitness goals for themselves based on how they want to look. So it's very much based on aesthetics. And in no way is that a bad thing. My belief is that anything that gets you to a point of wanting to set an awesome goal for yourself that's going to benefit your confidence, benefit your health, your mental capacity, your cognitive function, any reason for why you're setting these goals is amazing, right? But as you go through the program, the why for wanting to lose the weight, become more fit, improve your nutrition, it is going to need to be a bit more internal. Your reason for wanting to continue to lose the weight, continue to get more fit is absolutely going to need to be more internal, because that's really what's really going to help you sustain the progress that you're making. If your why for setting any sort of goal is always going to be based on external factors, you are going to find that it is going to become increasingly difficult to, let's say, sustain that goal, to sustain the progress that you've made, because a lot of our determination, our motivation needs to be internal so that we can actually implement it as a permanent lifestyle. So again, ask yourself if this goal is relevant and why you are setting this goal. And lastly, it needs to be time bound. How much time are you giving yourself to achieve this goal? So going back to the example that I was talking about earlier, if someone wants to lose 100 pounds in 4 months, it's not going to be an appropriate time-bound SMART goal. However, if you want to lose 100 pounds, let's say in a year, absolutely. That is absolutely time-bound and attainable based on the time that you're giving yourself to achieve this goal. So definitely, you know, in a nutshell, be sure that when you are creating a short-term goal or a long-term goal for yourself, that you are going through this SMART goals concept to make sure that you have a really clear-cut plan in place for you to be able to achieve it. So let's talk about some examples of long-term and short-term SMART goals. The first example that I have here as a long-term goal would be, I will lose 20 pounds in 3 months by exercising 3 times a week and hiring a fitness and nutrition coach. Might sound familiar. So a short-term goal for this would be maybe you add 1 serving of vegetables to 2 meals per day every day, or something like you'll complete all your workouts and consume 80 ounces of water per day. And as you can see, these short-term goals are directly related to how you will reach your long-term goal. And I also want to let you know that your short-term goals are going to change. If your short-term goals don't change for you to be able to get to your long-term goal, that would be something that I would be concerned about and I would probably ask you about, because your short-term goals should be goals that you're able to accomplish, but not only accomplish, they should be goals that you're able to keep up with, right? So 1 week, you're going to add 1 serving of vegetables to 2 meals per day every day. Once you've reached the point of maintaining this very specific short-term goal, then you need to challenge yourself anymore. These short-term goals are all about consistently accomplishing, but then also consistently challenging by creating new short-term goals that are going to help you get to your long-term goal, okay? And then the second example that I have here is, I will train to complete a marathon in 12 months by improving my nutrition and progressively increasing my distance and muscular endurance. So I'm sure we have some people who are inspired runners here. So this is just a second example that wouldn't be relevant to absolutely everybody watching this, but it's just, you know, just to give you another bigger picture look at this. So for your short-term goal, you could say, this week I will run on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and increase running distance by 5%. So when you are training for a marathon, or even honestly, if you're a novice runner and you're training for a 5K, a 10K, it's very common for runners to increase their running distance by 5%, at least once a week. Depending on your progression, you could do it twice a week, but this is another very specific example on how you can use a short-term goal to get to your long-term goal of, say, completing a marathon in a year. And another example for the short term would be, for the next 3 months, I will run on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays and train hamstrings on Saturdays. And the reason why this would be a short-term goal is because, you know, going back to what we were talking about earlier, whenever you're setting a short-term or long-term goal, it needs to be time-bound, right? So that's where where we get this next 3 months portion of the short-term goal. That's where this comes from. And you're also being very specific by saying you're going to run on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you're being intentional in a completely other way by training your hamstrings on Saturdays. And the reason you want to train your hamstrings at least once a week as a runner is because when you are a runner, it is actually, whenever I learned this, I was so surprised, but it makes so much sense, because runners have, majority of runners, not all of them, have weak hamstrings. They're constantly running all of the time, but they're not training their hamstrings. So guess what? They get hamstring injuries. I've known many people who are avid runners that have had this sort of experience. So based on that knowledge, you could say, okay, well, in order for me to become a better runner and prevent injury, so I don't have to take a break from running for my training to be, or to complete a marathon, I need to train my hamstrings at least once a day. So that's just these are some examples of long-term and short-term SMART goals that you can refer back to when you're creating your own, okay? So for your homework, I want you to clearly identify your goals. I mean, we've been doing this from day one of this program. But I thought that this was important to include somewhat, before the middle of the program, because I want you to continue to remind yourself that you should be constantly setting goals for yourself every week. If you're the type of person who wants to do it every day, go for it. Just, I think it probably in that instance, it would be even more important for you and I to talk about that. But I want you to record the big goal that you want to achieve in this program. So think back to when you signed up for this program, you had a vision of yourself in mind. Record this, post it where you will see it every single day. I post my goals in my office, in multiple areas in my office. I have them, written all throughout my notebooks so that I see them every day. If you want to put them in your kitchen, wherever you want to post them where you will see them every day and you are constantly reminded of them, okay? And the second thing I want you to do is record one short-term, nutrition goal and one physical activity goal that you will achieve this week. And we will be doing this throughout the majority of the program. But again, just another reminder, this is going to be very important for your long-term success, okay? And then lastly, consistently review your goals for yourself to determine if they need to be adjusted. And, that was going back to what I was saying earlier, is that when you set short-term goals, the goal is to crush them, right? The goal is to accomplish them and maintain those short-term goals so that you can begin to set other short-term goals, again, that are relevant to your long-term goal. All right. And then also, please communicate any changes to me so that we can review and discuss next steps, because that's why I'm here. I'm here to give you all of the support that you can possibly need and then more. So any sort of change that you have or that you would like to see with your program, or any, short-term, long-term goals that you would like to change, please communicate them to me and we can discuss the best ways to move forward.